As soon as word got out that Warner Brothers Discovery chief David Zaslav was in talks with Paramount Global CEO Bob Bakish to merge two of the biggest names in Hollywood into one company, Comcast CEO Brian Roberts jumped in to see whether his NBC Universal might swoop in and buy both of them and get complete control of not only Star Trek, Transformers, Mission Impossible, and Yellowstone, but also complete control over the TV film and theme park rights to Harry Potter. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. I'm Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, where we talk about streaming, theme parks, entertainment, and video games. Today, we're talking not only the proposed talks between Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount, but Comcast voicing their overtures to buy either company or even both. Right now, Universal Studios theme parks only rent the right to use franchises like Transformers and Harry Potter in their theme parks. There are even rumors that Universal has the theme park rights to the Peter Jackson version of the Lord of the Rings films to use at Universal Great Britain. If Comcast could purchase Warner Brothers Discovery, that would give them another competitive advantage against the falling giant of the theme park space, the Walt Disney Company. Let's get into it. As we wrap up the idea that Warner Brothers might buy Paramount, guess who has emerged from the wings to pull the same trick he always pulls?
Could it be a little bit of Comcast action?
Brian Roberts from Comcast has said, according to Alex Sherman, Warner Brothers Discovery merger talks with Paramount Global may draw out NBC Universal.
Well, they certainly have the money. Thank you, Walt Disney.
Yeah,
That's it.
They did just get $8.6 billion and maybe more.
And more to come, yes.
It's funny that my HBO Max charge just popped up on the screen as I was looking through this.
And let's run that comparison. We just said Paramount's worth what, $10 billion?
Yeah.
They're going to eventually have more than that just from Hulu.
Yes. Well, I just want to focus here that this is not Warner Brothers. This is not Paramount being bought by NBC Universal. This would be Warner Brothers Discovery,
right,
being purchased by NBC Universal, which is of course held by Comcast. So they would only need to float about $20 billion more, and I think they've got it, guys. They can handle that. They're a cable company, a broadband company, and they have been consistently profitable. This would be, if they're merging and they want all of these beautiful IPs to add to their theme parks, which again we're going to talk about that British theme park here in just a little bit, but. This seems like a no-brainer that, of course, if Brian Roberts can make these kind of deals without having to talk to anyone, he has unlimited power when it comes to the board.
This is one more reason why I say it is very likely to me that Comcast is going to say goodbye to the NBC stuff. Talk about linears. Yeah.
Because, as in NBC, the brand.
Because if you buy something that owns something that the regulatory issues between CBS and NBC and stations and all that, plus I think they'd love to be out of the politics of the MSNBC and the CNBC because they don't need that aggravation.
Right. But
as Disney has proven.
Hold on to that thought. Let's get into this this article here. Let's say you have a crush on two. By the way, I love the way Alex Sherman writes these things. He's responsible for the 12,000 word expose on the Disney C-suite that we often go back to. Let's say you have a crush on two people and you find out one of them may like you back. Again, he's saying crush on two people, meaning both aspects are up for sale here. Do you just start dating that person, or do you find out what the other person thinks too? That's where Warner Brothers Discovery finds itself today. The company has had preliminary merger talks with Paramount Global. David Zaslav met with Bob Bakish. We know that part based on what we just talked about. Crush may actually be too strong here. This is not a case of both companies lusting for each other. Oh my, that'll put us in a different category on YouTube. It's more of a partnership of necessity. Neither company has a clear future competing for content in a streaming-dominated world where Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and YouTube owner Google have far larger balance sheets. They just want to survive and boost their share price. But maybe WBD would rather merge with Comcast's NBC Universal. Does this sound like speculation, or does this sound like they're being wooed if Comcast is open to it? There may be regulatory issues with it. I feel like there should be some like light saxophone music playing here in the back. There may be regulatory issues with NBC Universal. It's unclear whether officials would allow their love to blossom. This year, they're the top 2 U.S. movie studios by revenue. While smaller than Warner Brothers or Universal, Paramount is still a top 5 studio in most years. Comcast also owns news channel MSNBC, which may or may not be a problem with regulators, given that Warner Brothers Discovery owns CNN. I think, you know, I think if you're given the choice between MSNBC and CNN, while CNN is a tarnished brand that is in recovery, I think this is a very clear choice here.
Plus, CNN has the international connections that MSNBC does not.
Right, and CNN Max, they're doing a good job of marketing to that next generation. By the way, CNBC, I need to point out that this is a Comcast-owned outlet that is reporting here.
Right.
So
yeah,
and I would guess that they would just kind of, I mean, if those were real inhibitors to a deal like this, I would guess that they would just kind of offload it, just like, well, Disney did with Fox News, for example, from Rupert Murdoch's previous Fox company.
Mm-hmm. The deal structure might be important here. If Comcast spins out NBC Universal to merge with Warner Brothers Discovery, it could theoretically give Zaslav debt-free earnings to strengthen the combined company's balance sheet. That is speaking Zaslav's language right there, because debt has been a big focus of Warner Brothers Discovery. And that what might be more enticing than taking on Paramount Global's $15 billion in debt. Warner Brothers has nearly $45 billion of debt and has worked to bring down its leverage all year by boosting free cash flow. Buying Paramount Global might be viewed as starting over for Zaslav, who hasn't made many friends in Hollywood, with his intensive cutting of both jobs and content spending. It's also possible that Comcast CEO Brian Roberts wants to hold on to NBC Universal and isn't interested in doubling down on legacy media right now. NBC Universal isn't in merger talks with anyone, according to a person familiar with the matter. I wonder how this CNBC person would get a comment like that. Spokespeople for Comcast, Warner Brothers Discovery, and Paramount Global all declined to comment. Let's see if he's got anything else here. What would you think? What would be in this theme park themed show that we are on right now? What do you think would be the great benefit of Warner Brothers being bought or merging with NBC Universal?
Ooh, all of the theme park rights that you could possibly muster, right? Now, again, they do have some outstanding theme park rights sitting with other companies like Six Flags, but that shouldn't be a problem. Reabsorbing some of those great assets.
It would be easier for them to absorb those than it has been for Disney to somehow get back the Marvel stuff from Universal.
That's a good point.
Right. So right now, for those who are not familiar with this matter, which if you're on this space and you're one of our Midnight's Edge compatriots and you don't understand the current rights layout and the mess that has been made because of all this industry consolidation, right now, Marvel is held east of the Mississippi in the United States, so basically the east half of the United States. Marvel rights are tied up with Comcast, which owns NBC Universal, all in Islands of Adventure, which is, you know, a stone's throw away from Walt Disney World. This is why
the Hulk roller coaster, the Great Spider-Man ride, and all the other wonderful stuff they've got there.
Right, and they're doing a better job. I'm just going to be frank when I say this. They're doing a better job with Marvel than Disney would do, because Disney has a bunch of people that look like people in costumes. And Comcast, Universal right now has a bunch of larger than life looking people that kids would want to go up and get a hug, as opposed to looking like some people that happen to be wearing a superhero costume today. Go ahead.
They also have merchandise rights as well, so there's a big MCU presence. Interestingly enough, within Universal's Islands of Adventure, selling,
and for those who aren't aware of it, that's why Disney California Adventures Tower of Terror became Guardians of the Galaxy, and why it can't in Orlando.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Well, actually, it could be Guardians of the Galaxy in Orlando. But
it would have to be kind of separated out from the MCU, right? Like it couldn't make covert references. Okay.
Right. So they couldn't talk about anybody else there. It's complicated. Obviously, Cosmic Rewind is at Epcot,
and that is a wonderful attraction. but it's nothing compared to the larger than life stuff you get at Universal in Florida. Universal, I think, Vash, you would agree, they have better show, right?
I mean, you could make a compelling case for that right now. Definitely in this era, because man, some of their plans are just not only what they have right now, but what they're building right now in Epic Universe. They're just enormous.
Yeah. I'll also add that Universal Japan, I think right now they have the rights to Marvel over there because the Spider-Man ride in Universal Japan is sunsetting. I don't know if that means that they're shutting down Marvel stuff over there. And according to the deal, I think they have to spend some paltry amount, like $1 million a year in maintenance in order to keep the rights, which
correct.
That's nothing. It also gives Disney a lot of information on just how well Universal is doing. Which is fascinating. So as far as in reading the contract, we did this in a video on That Park Place. I think there might be issues if they wanted to put DC in the same property as Islands of Adventure. I don't know if that extends out to Universal Studios or the upcoming Epic Universe. I think there is room to expand Epic Universe. But more importantly, Warner Brothers owns Looney Tunes and also DC, and those are both currently held by Six Flags as far as theme park rights go. So there's a lot of complication here that is not yet resolved.
Sure, but it would open up a plethora of other IP that Universal or Comcast would love to get its hands on, for example, right? They had Christopher Nolan touring the parks recently. We did at That Park Place. Daily Countdown video on that. And, it did suggest, like, hey, maybe putting Christopher Nolan properties or IP in these parks, and well, right now they only have Oppenheimer, but what if they had the complete catalog in which to pull ideas from? That could definitely be something that they would love to leverage in the parks.
And what a difference a few years make. Remember that when they built Islands of Adventure, they had to buy up Betty Boop and Dudley Do-Right and things that frankly the audience is aging out of. Now, it's not true with the Dr. Seuss stuff because they've kept that IP alive.
And they were trying to get DC stuff originally, and then they couldn't. They had plans for a Metropolis, plans for a Gotham City, like a Penguin ride or something like that. I mean, it was crazy. They were going to do it, and then that deal kind of fell through. That's why they went with Marvel. Marvel was actually the second.
Right. So I just want to point out, if you were to list the hottest theme park properties out there right now, it wouldn't be Star Wars. It wouldn't even be Pixar. Maybe you could say Disney as a brand could be, but right now it seems to be Nintendo and Harry Potter.
Exactly.
They're locked up with Nintendo right now, and Harry Potter, obviously held by Warner Brothers. And there's an entire swath of unused IPs, which we're going to get to in just a moment, where they might be used. But this opens up an entire segment of the market. Could you see that the old school comic strip land? I don't know the name of it. That's over at Islands of Adventure. That would be pretty easy to redo. I say easy; it would still cost hundreds of millions of dollars, but relatively easy to retheme that entire thing to a Nickelodeon space. SpongeBob, Ben 10, all of these properties that little boys actually like.
And Universal has a relationship, or did, with Nickelodeon with the slime stuff at the original studios.
Go ahead, Culture. What's your comment?
I'm sorry. I would just push back on Nickelodeon stuff. I think that Nickelodeon started and failed in Florida a couple of times now.
Yeah, well,
I'll go ahead, Jonas.
I would go more for the I think SpongeBob is a stronger brand than Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And they are incorporating that into the Texas part, from what we understand.
Yes, they are.
That's a very, very good
Vash
point.
knows everything, guys. If you want, just follow that guy. He knows everything about what's happening in the park.
Well, Space Day 2000 for $2. Universal owning Matrix, Potter, and DC. Yes, please. I would love to see a Matrix after hours event. Actually, I'm not much for after hours events, but Matrix, that would be fascinating. And imagine the things that you could do. So instead
of blue and green milk, you'd have red and blue pills.
That's awful, Lou. That's awful.
Dress up in your 2000s era rave outfits. Come on down. Let's get you into the Matrix.
Yeah, get you a
joke,
black.
But I would do that, right?
Right.
Of course.
It's it's a great nostalgia trip for sure.
Ganshogi for $4.99. I don't know what they were thinking with web slingers in DCA. Rides shouldn't physically hurt you. My orthopedic surgeon won.
They won kind of a family attraction, right? As part of Disney California Adventure, and that portion of the theme park specifically, they had got rid of. What is it? 3 or 4 family attractions with the Bugs Line being being pesticide there. So
I miss the Heimlich's train and the Tough to Be a Bug and all the other stuff that was there that they just went yoink.
Yep.
Originally they weren't going to. They were going to build in the north, and then the Eastern Gateway project fell and collapsed, and it's like, well, we still want to integrate Marvel, so we're going to settle for this instead.
Build the Iron Man coaster. You make me mad.
Yeah. Florida Man. Hey, Florida Man. I hope that you are recovering from the last news story I read about you. For $10, the Roberts family already missed out on Warner Brothers Discovery previously when AT&T did the reverse Morris merger. I doubt they will let that happen again. Nothing can happen before April. Agreed again on the nothing can happen before April. April 8th being the date in question here. Roberts... I think he wants to build an empire here, and he's hungry for it, and he has much more control compared to Bob Iger. Bob Iger still has to answer to shareholders and the board. Obviously, Brian Roberts, on some level, has to answer to shareholders. He does not have to answer to his board. According to the Comcast charter, he is CEO and chairman for life unless he names a successor of his own choosing.
And only because he's not a total snark like other CEOs we know is the only reason he's not going to put a plaque at the entrance to Epic Universe saying, brought to you courtesy of the Walt Disney Company.
That would be funny. Thank you to the distinguished competition. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Is there an untapped Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount property you'd like to see at a theme park? Or is this giant consolidation of competitors just bad for business? You tell us, because we would love to know what you think. This clip was part of our now regular Thursday live stream, which starts at noon Eastern time. Of course, if you're not in that time zone, just hit the notification bell if you'd like YouTube to do the work and tell you when that is. Like this video if you like this video. If you know someone who is as interested as we are in this kind of thing, then maybe you should share the link with them. And of course, please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.